Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and go ahead and say it, Yolanda. What you like to say?
Hi, Sybil. What do I
Hello,
like to say?
hello, all you folks out there in Radio Land.
I say that? Is that something I would say?
Hello, Coy Malone. How are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good. Hey, Sybil. Hey, Yolanda.
Hey, Coy.
And yo, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, Chris and Huggy are not with us tonight, so we thank you for joining us.
So you
And
got me.
we lucked out.
Wouldn't it be nice if that were the case?
It is the case. It is absolutely the case. So thanks for joining us. Coy, how have you been?
I've been pretty good.
Are you relaxed? Because I watched you do something this weekend, which was supposed to be a stress reliever. Can you explain to people what that was you posted?
Yes, I participated in a rage room and shout out to Go Ham ATL. It is a black woman owned rage room. They're actually located outside of Atlanta in the Stonecrest area, which is just outside of Lithonia. And I got to take some plates and glass cups and jars and an electronic and beat it to smithereens.
And why?
Right. That was what
It's
I was.
supposed to be, a way to release and let go of your frustrations. A lot of people have been talking about, rage rooms and things like that, where you can go and break stuff. And this is the first time I got a chance to actually go to one. I think the closest one to here is like over 200 miles away or so. So that was pretty fun.
Well,
But it
hold
was
on.
also very
Wait.
tiring.
Fun.
Once again, why?
Right.
Why was that fun?
No. Why'd you do it?
Because I wanted to try something that would help me release frustrations that I feel like maybe I've been holding on to. But what I learned was I don't think I'm as frustrated as I thought. Because that was very tiring, and being angry is tiring.
Good for you.
And yeah, and it just, even when I was like breaking stuff, I'm like, ooh, and things went flying out the tent. I'm like, oh my gosh, I apologize. I was being really careful about it. So I'm like, I don't think I'm as frustrated as I thought, which is great for me because there have been a lot of different things going on with me, especially lately over the last few months. And they cause a lot of stress, a lot of upset for me. But seeing as how I'm not as angry as I thought, I have dealt with it much better than what I
So how
think I
did you
was.
come upon that? What was the moment or what was the action that you made you say, "Hey, I'm not as angry as I thought I was"?
Because I'm like just trying to think of all the things that I was frustrated about or I have been
Uh-huh.
frustrated about over the last about month or two. And
Right?
so as I'm swinging and I'm like, this really isn't doing anything. Like it's fun, but I don't really feel that release or that
Mhm.
relief. Like I think I already came to that moment in myself by working on myself and doing what needed to be done with that particular situation and handling it accordingly. And then also myself. I do see that I'm still affected in different ways because I'm still getting back on the ball with certain things in my life. But other than that, like it really didn't make a difference.
And who arranged this? How did you come to this rage room?
Oh, this was arranged by my job. Actually, they set up a rage room and then they also had a zen room where there
Did
were
you
these.
partake in the Zen room too?
I
Okay,
did
Yolanda
for
Starks
some.
is very happy about that, I'm sure.
Yes, for some reason my phone didn't save the videos that I took, but they had these really expensive massage chairs that like not only do like they massage your back and your shoulders, but
Mhm.
they also surround your arms and your legs and your shoulders as well. Like they squeeze your hands, your wrists, everything. It was great.
That's awesome.
I was
And
starting
how
to
long
fall
did,
asleep.
and was it a balance, the amount of time you spent raging and relaxing? Was it like you spent 15 minutes raging, 15 minutes relaxing and de-stressing?
Yeah, I spent a little bit more time relaxing. I wish I spent way more time there, but my break wouldn't allow that. Um,
Oh, wow.
but I did purposely do the rage room first and then the zen room. afterwards. Could have
cool.
just stuck with the Zen room, to be honest. But
And could you have done that the whole time?
Yeah, I could have. But this was something that was provided by my job. I didn't have to, come out of pocket for it. So I figured, well, let me just try it out and see what it's about.
Well, good for you for seeing what it was all about. I watched it didn't seem like you were that much enraged. It was like, throw this up and oh, I missed it. Okay, let me try it again. And it's just like I'll do this a little bit and do this and for
Yeah.
folks that are listening, it's just like she's throwing something up in the air to hit it like a baseball, but it's like, was it equipment? Was it like computer equipment or something?
Yeah, I think that was a projector that I had, and then everything else is just like glass, cups, plates. I think I had a jar, a mug. So, nothing too huge or anything like that. I ended up getting cut a little bit on my legs. I didn't know till later on, but other than that, yeah. And you know what? I also have to stop listening to what other people's perception of me are when it comes to their interpretation of what they think is anger or rage or anything like that, because I had this idea in my mind that I was angry based off of someone else's opinion, even though this person really doesn't matter anymore. But their opinion was I was very angry and I was like misplacing my anger, and come to find out I'm not. That was just
Well,
their
good for
projection.
you. Good for you. Well, good for you and trying it. Good for your company for encouraging and providing an outlet for you all to kind of figure out where your rage points or relaxation points are and how that works for you. And thank you for sharing.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
And rage is a good emotion that you need to express sometime. It's okay to be angry. It's okay because some people do some dumb stuff that you should be angry about.
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes I just go in my other room where I have my altars and I just yell. Do it on my own. So I try not to project that on
well,
anyone
sometimes
else.
it's better in a house than it is in an apartment. I'm not sure how close you are to your neighbors and what that looks like at the time of day or whatever. But I like the idea that you all were provided. Will they do it again? Was it a success?
It was a great success. A lot of people participated throughout the day. It was not just like a 1 or 2 hour thing. They started like I believe like in the morning and went all the way up until 5 in the evening. So
Wow.
hopefully they do provide some other activities
That's
for us. They're
awesome.
pretty good at
This is the
providing a lot
Mercedes
of
company.
yes.
That's awesome.
They're pretty good
That's very
at
cool.
providing a lot of different activities for the employees. So that's one thing I do appreciate about
Well, you should consider
Mercedes.
that for Yossi Media.
I would just do with a good yoga class. I don't see the
Well, it's not for you. It's not
well,
for you.
it
It's
is for
for your
me.
people.
It is for me.
Okay.
And if I'm gonna pay for it, I'm gonna tell you what I want you to do.
Okay. Well, that's one way of doing it. You sound
Thank
like
you.
somebody's mother. You're not
Thank
somebody's
you.
mother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I am. I am a mother to many, especially to two four-legged creatures. Um, so let's talk about Yossi Media and the What You Need to Know newsletter. Let's talk about this newsletter that we have provided for folks for and by African Americans. And we also have young contributors like Coy, who is our social justice contributor. Politics, that is Cameron Riley, his little sister, Quinn Townsend Riley is our LGBTQ plus contributor, and mental health and wellness provided by April at Russell. So let's start with you there, young Coy, and please give us an update on the video beating of a Black man by the name of Lakean Woods by the Jacksonville Police Department.
Yeah, so there's been a body camera video circulating and an arrest photo that has gone viral on social media of 24-year-old Lakean Woods, and he was arrested by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office after a traffic stop where he was struck 17 times by responding officers. This happened on September 29th when the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office gang unit was conducting surveillance at a gas station. Now, apparently, one of the 4 involved detectives, whose name is Josh Josu Garriga, apparently he saw this young man in his truck at a gas pump, but wasn't pumping gas. Another car arrived. This is according to the officer. Another car arrives. He gets in the car. He counts money and says, "No, let's handle this business." And then gets out of the SUV and then leaves without his seatbelt on. So the officer then follows him and notifies the other officers that he's following this person. He has on no seatbelt, and he also believes that he is armed with a firearm. So this led them to try to stop the vehicle. The vehicle doesn't stop. It ends up driving into an apartment complex where it dead ends. And then this is when Mr. Woods runs out of the vehicle. So the officers attempted a high-risk takedown, according to them. One of them is holding on to his waist because he thinks that he's armed.
Mhm.
And then he ends up discharging a taser, which had no effect. So he tases him a second time. And this is when Mr. Woods falls onto the street. An officer named Hunter Sullivan then punches him in the face. And then when this young man tries to stand up, he gets punched in the face 4 more times.
Dang.
And so they're saying that they were actively fighting to
No, they
gain
didn't just
control.
punch. They didn't just punch.
No, they didn't
They
just punch.
they beat the living daylights out of this man. His face was
Yes.
so disfigured. It was
Yes.
and the reaction by the public should have been greater than this. But his family certainly did stand up for this. It was so disfigured, they should have been dismissed immediately.
Right. And you know, in the police report, they did say that they struck him a total of 17 times. They also said that there were unintentional knee strikes made to his face. Unintentional. There was a rally that was held at the jail with the family and attorneys who are calling for the involved officers to be fired. They're calling for charges. Woods is still being held at the Duval County Jail on charges of armed drug trafficking, possession of a controlled substance, and resisting an officer with violence. He has yet to be released. At this time, there's been no updates on that. As for one of the involved officers, Josu Garriga, this is his 4th time that he's made headlines. He was a member of a group chat that was investigated by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for texts that included basically talking some stuff about a 22-year-old FAMU student who was killed in a police fatal shooting. He was the officer that actually pulled the young man over and shot him.
And he's participating in a text conversation about a murder that he was involved in, a shooting that he was involved in.
Yes. And then he was also working as an officer in Putnam County in 2015, where he was one of several officers who fired at 48-year-old Andrew Williams, who later died.
So his history is long and varied, and he's still on the job.
Yes. Not that he was, I apologize. He was not the person that fatally shot the FAMU student, but he was one of the officers who contributed to the fatal shooting of 48-year-old Andrew Williams.
Wow. And the family is pursuing charges.
They want charges pursued. I haven't seen any updates on that as of yet.
Well, I mean, they are initiating. Not the charges have been filed, but they are initiating.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the attorneys are definitely demanding that, and also the sheriff at Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Sheriff TK Waters, said that his officers acted in accordance with their training when they took Woods into custody following a suspected drug deal.
Now, you may remember his name. He was the sheriff that was in charge when the white man went on a shooting range at a dollar store in Jacksonville just a couple months ago. And you know, he was very emotional and all of that. But on the other side of this shooting, and as horrific as that was, his people are also engaged in horrific acts of violence as well. And he's a Black man. Um, and watching other Black men treated like Mr. Woods was, is it that's on the sheriff too. Protecting the people from from racist shooters is just as important as protecting people from getting the life beat out of them by his deputies. I believe that's my opinion. I'm just stating my opinion, um, and should be called upon to take responsibility for that.
Definitely, absolutely. There was nothing violent about Lakeem Woods. There was no proof that there was a gun. I haven't seen any reports saying that they recovered one at all at the scene or during the arrest. And I mean, understandably so, with the history of police with Black people, especially with Black men, I can understand why he would be afraid and would want to run. At the same time, I also understand when you're being struck by an officer, the need to want to try to get away, or your natural reaction is to flinch or try to release yourself. There is no way that you can sit there and get punched on or kicked or kneed unintentionally in the face and then expect for me to comply.
Right. All right, Coy. We'll keep an eye on this case, obviously, like we tell you about all of them. Let us know what's going on because there will be follow up to this, I'm sure, as far as the family is concerned. Among the other stories that we cover in the newsletter, it is Ministry Monday. And our friend Willie Mae McIver gives a great conversation, a great talk on miracles and
Mm.
defines what miracles are and what God's role is in providing and in making miracles happen. So please take a look at that. And she just gives a great wrap up. I mean, just everyday questions that we may have about the workings of God and the workings of the church, and does a really fine job about that. Also, in our Black Health Matters update, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as I've said, and talking about this and the questions that young people, especially, or people who may have breast cancer in their families, ask the question, what is my breast cancer risk? Something that many of us who have had breast cancer in our family have asked that question and are still asking. Um, are there changes? Are there updates on this? And what do I need to know? And how can I address this? Also, we talk about in this newsletter about what happened over the weekend in Israel, and try to give just a description of what happened, not so much emotional, because there are enough people who have their opinions about the situation in Israel as opposed to the situation with the Palestinians. And I think we should have that discussion because there are a lot of people who are very very opinionated about the history of Israel and the Palestinians. So that will be something we will talk about. But in this case, we just talk about what happened over the weekend, and it's generating a lot of discussion. What happened? The attack on Israel as by Hamas. Even give you a little background on what Hamas is and what it's an acronym. But more to the point, just talking about this and not talking about pro or con, but definitely the failures, because the Israeli government is known for their intelligence and the crack job that their intelligence staff does. And this was a complete blow or a complete failure on their part because they did not know. And certainly they would have been prepared. And as a result, hundreds of people, as they say now, have died,
Mm.
and many of them, a small group of them, are Americans. And it was a full scale attack by land, by sea, by air. And so please take a look at that, as well as we also have a kind of a wrap up of the strikes that are going on in our country right now, from coast to coast, involving automobile, healthcare, as well as the actors' strike. So take a look at this. We'd love to have you subscribe to the What You Need to Know newsletter. Please go to SybilWilkes.com. Give us your name and your email address, and we'll have we'll have the newsletter in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. All right, let's move to the what's really going on question. And Coy, I thought about this because you are a chef, and Yolanda is not an eater. She's not food is not necessarily her friend. I am, and you can probably see that by looking at me. But this month has been designated as Eat Better, Eat Together month. And so the question is, as we are observing Eat Better, Eat Together month, with whom would you like to share a meal? This is an encouragement for families to eat together, to have, like, whether it's 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening, to have one meal that you all share a day. And so I'm asking you, with whom would you like to share a meal? Would it be a celebrity, a friend, a family member? It could be dead or alive. And what would that meal be? And they're asking you to make good food choices. So this is where we should have Jackie Reed, obviously, on this. But Coy, as a chef, I thought you could contribute on some of the meals, perhaps that you could recommend to us, or that you would like to try with family and friends. Yolanda, I think we can all agree that your favorite meal would be fries.
Okay.
and with whom would you like to share your meal?
So I think I'd like to share my meal with my nieces and nephews,
Mm,
particularly my nephew, because he's just an interesting young fellow.
which
And
one?
Malachi,
Okay.
he's 11. He just turned 11. But to just see life out of little people's eyes is just very, very cool. The things that they're interested in and talking about and what excites them. And I'm telling you, Sybil, I took he and my other nephew, Xavier, to Urban Air. It's a place where you go jump around. And afterwards, we went to have pizza. And on the way, to hear them sing All My Life, and they were really singing it like All My Life. It's like, really, you 10.
Oh.
But they really felt it. And so yeah, I would like to spend more time with my nieces and my nephew, just hearing life from their perspective.
That's really interesting because we had an opportunity to see and hear your nieces and nephews this summer in a project that you did regarding questions that you would ask, and them being on camera. And it really showed the different personalities
Right.
in the young people in your family. And so, and Malachi is quite a young man. So,
Yeah,
uh,
but
and,
isn't
and
it great to hear what they have to say and what's important to them
yeah.
and what have you? Yeah.
Yeah, and have those conversations. All right, young Coy, Chef Coy, what about you? What's the meal, and with whom would you like to share?
Hmm. I really don't know what the meal is, to be honest.
Really? Okay.
How
Oh
about some fish
goodness.
tacos?
Some fish taco. I can do that. I can do
Okay.
fish tacos.
Okay.
Fish tacos would be cool. Um,
You don't have a favorite that you'd like to share with people that you have, or maybe one that you would like to experiment with, and you run through some recipes and said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I like that."
I don't know. I tend to cook for the person and ask them what they like more than I ask myself what I like.
Hmm.
So it doesn't really.
Not like the rage room.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just
It's for them. Okay.
yeah, it's really for them. As long as everybody's eating, they got a smile on their face. Unless it's crab legs, that's my weakness. Um,
Do you make crab legs?
I don't.
Oh,
Not
okay.
not not in the apartment. If I was in my house, I would, but in the apartment, it just tends to the smell. You have to end up cleaning the blinds to get the smell.
Wow.
Yeah. I figured
Okay.
that out one day. I was like, yep, I'm never cooking crab legs at home ever
Oh,
again.
wow. They like
Um,
chitlins?
Kinda, yeah, like, oh,
Oh,
Oh, I've
wow.
never had it like that. Okay, okay.
yeah, bad ventilation. That's not a real vent or hooded
Hmm.
vent over the stove that's here. It's just kind of there for show, it
Right,
seems like.
right.
Who would I want to have a meal with?
Let's say, for example, the person that you give us, what do you think their meal would be that you would like to prepare for them?
Prince
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
would like he probably wants something fancy. So I would have to do some,
He might
I don't
have
know.
a complicated a diet as you have, Coy. I've
He
never
might.
seen anybody with pages and pages and pages of food do's and don'ts that Coy Malone has. And this was just for one meal. And Ward White was the chef and was asking people for, what can you eat or what can you eat? And Coy sent the entire list of what she can, what she can't, and stuff that she likes, which is a smaller list, I think. But it was really quite interesting. And I think Prince might have been one of those people that had as complicated a list as you did and requirements as you did.
One of the things that I heard Prince like that I like is cake batter.
Wow,
Ooh,
That's
that's
all y'all
interesting.
got.
that's pretty good.
That's all both of y'all got. That's all
That's
y'all
pretty
got for
good.
me. Okay.
That's pretty good though. Like
Okay.
I can't argue with that one. Like
Okay.
that might be simple. I would make him, since it's in season right now, I would do a stuffed butternut squash or stuffed acorn squash is what
Stuffed
I would
with
make. I
stuffed
would
with
either stuff it with brown rice or quinoa. I would add some roasted sauteed vegetables, mushrooms, onions, garlic, maybe a little bit of serrano peppers. I would add some green onions on top, lots of herbs, lots of seasonings. I would probably round it out. I don't know if he eats meat, so I could do like chicken in there, or I could use jackfruit as a substitute for chicken. And then I'll make my famous sauce that I don't have a name for yet.
it's Coy's famous sauce.
Yes,
And what
from
and can
scratch.
and what are the ingredients there?
If I tell you, then it might not be famous
Okay,
no
leave
more.
out the one thing that is going to make the difference
Okay,
in it.
right.
It's kind of like it's like my version of Chipotle
Oh, okay.
sauce.
Okay. Okay. All right. Aubrey W. on YouTube says two celebrities I'd love to share a meal with are Jack A. Harris and Regina King. That's a really interesting combination there, player. It won't necessarily be a meal, but drinks, because the way those two beautiful women cut up will be a riot. Were they the two that they got a little loose and dippy at on
Watch what
Watch What
happens
Happens
live.
Live?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
great.
Yeah, with Andy Cohen. Yeah, that was funny. I don't know why I remember that. Janet Ferguson on Facebook, share a meal with my mom who is now deceased. She loved a T-bone steak. Ooh, yeah. And I would do that with my mom too. Only hers would have been prime rib, and she
Mhm.
liked that in cut. We'd always go to Lowry's and she would ask for the in cut because it was well done, and it had the charring was good for her. She liked it. Tyrone Bourne on Facebook. My whole family. We haven't had a family reunion in years. It's time. Yes. So let's make that happen for you, Tyrone. What are you going to do? Let's plan on doing that for 24. Keisha Mitchell Brown on Facebook. I'm eating dinner at my parents' as I type. Thankful. You all are sitting. Wait. Are you all sitting at the table, you with your computer screen and typing this and eating dinner with your family? Kind of paint a picture for us, because I'm really curious about how people are watching us too.
Sybil, what was your answer? So outside of your mom, so who else?
Other than Michael B. Jordan, just so I could look at him, I wouldn't need to eat, and I
Oh,
probably
okay. I
wouldn't
was
have
like,
the appetite.
now
I
what would
just
you talk to that young boy about?
I think he's really I think he's a very smart young man, and I think that his business sense. There's a couple of things that I've been taken by regarding Michael B. Jordan. He has a really great business sense, and the way that he has crafted his career, going from soap operas to now being a part of the Justice League or whatever, the adventure characters that he plays. Um, and as well as his sense of family. I really love the way that
You
he
really had an answer for me. I was just messing with you. You wrote that down.
you thought I was gonna say just because he's fine
Right.
and
Okay.
cute.
My bad.
I got a little bit more substance to it than just ooh, he show is fine. Okay, Michelle Lynn Summerall, you're right. No conversation needed. And he would probably like, that's why we're here, really? Because you really are an older woman, because all the other girls would just be going, oh. But yeah, Michelle, it would be. I got words and I got questions for him. So
I'd also like to have a meal with Tabitha Brown.
she's a really cool person to. Yeah, that's a really good choice too. And maybe we can arrange that. Because I really would like to talk to her about her book. I think that she has done a really good job with her career, as and her story is very interesting. How she and her husband had worked hard together. He was a LA policeman, and he supported her while she was going after her dream in acting, and how she expanded that into her ways of living, and the ways of eating and living, and her books that expand on that. And now that she has made it, she has allowed her husband. They are now in a position where her husband was able to retire, and I thought that was really cool in that partnership. But she has an amazing spirit, and more than just a person that we may have seen in various roles, and especially like on The Shy. I thought she did a really good job. So, but she's really cool.
Mhm.
So Yolanda, do we have any others? And do you want to change your? Because I spoke for you, but I know potatoes really are your friend.
That'll
Um,
work. It's all the same.
but you're also not. Your stomach is not in a good place for you to kind of think about food.
Right. It's all
But
the same.
you really do indulge me. And Coy, I don't know if you do this with your friends, but Yolanda really likes the fact that I will try different things, and not just chicken and potatoes.
But by the
Um,
way, Ward White has some gumbo for you.
oh, he called me. Yeah,
Oh, he
after
did. Okay, good.
in just a few minutes, I'll be over to
Okay, good.
so I can get my fill of gumbo today. Thank you, Ward White. And I wonder what Ward's would be, because he has such an interesting palate and diet, because he's very structured in his diet as well, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Do you think he'll share with us today, or will you allow him to share with
Not
us today?
today because we're out of time.
Oh.
I just want to say that I'm surprised Yolanda didn't say she would have a meal with Buddha.
With Buddha.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. Or the
mm.
Dalai
The Dalai
Lama.
Lama.
Or yeah, yeah,
Mm. All
absolutely.
right, Coy.
Yeah, yeah. Or Mother Teresa, or Eleanor Roosevelt, or it could be anyone.
Jimmy
Nelson
Carter.
Mandela.
No, yeah, 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 yeah. Or Chief Buthelezi. Okay, so we've run out of time. Thank you all for participating in my little game, and to our friend there, let's get started on that family reunion. People, we're running out of time, so I just want people
Amen.
to understand that we need to make these things happen. Let us move to trending topics, and so we know about the war in Israel, and just to give you the latest, President Biden has confirmed at least 11 Americans have died, U.S.
Mm.
citizens likely among the hostages. So not only did they go in and
They
fire,
got hostages
they
too?
have they have maybe hundreds of hostages that they've taken, and they fired upon a music festival. They went into homes, they went into other community areas, and I believe they had one woman who was held by the Germans during World War II. She is one of the hostages taken by Hamas. It's sad, but the whole situation between Israel and the Palestinian organization, or the community, is really sad. And I talked about the failures of the intelligence, and how come they didn't know. But there are also failures in diplomacy,
Mm.
because we've gotten away from bringing the warring sides together. This is something that Jimmy Carter won the Nobel Peace Prize for, was bringing Sadat for Egypt and Begin for Israel together, to try to affect change between their two countries. And this is not something that is done anymore. It's almost like a cleanup on aisle 6 after all of this is done. But along with improving your intelligence, you also need to improve your diplomacy. And that's on the Secretary of State. That's also on
Mm.
other people in the diplomatic corps, your ambassadors between the countries and what have you, to bring all the sides together and to try to bring peace to the Middle East. Because we can't live in as Coy has shown, you can't live in just in rage and hatred and all of this. You have to be able to live. It's not good for us as a people or as individuals to have this, to live in fear and to and I think that's something, the difference between Yolanda and I, because we always talk about this, and we were talking about this with the shooting at Morgan State. You can't live in fear and send your, say you don't want to send your child off to a school like Morgan State, because I was thinking, well, maybe it would have been better if Bernice had gone to Bowie State, and then there was a shooting at Bowie State. So living in fear does nothing but increase your blood pressure and heighten your cortisol and do all of these things that are not necessarily good for you. And it's
Right.
certainly not good for the next generation of children that are watching this happen. And you didn't ask for this from me, Mr. Biden, but I'm just telling you, there's two things I want you to work on: diplomacy, and I want you to come and go grocery shopping with me and buy me a tank of gas. Because I think that even though you say that inflation is not as bad, I don't know what you bought lately, but I want you to come and hang out and do those things with me. Um, Charlotte Bowen Bellamy, thank you for this information. I need to understand more. We all do. We
So let
all
me ask
need.
you, Sybil, do you think Michael B. Jordan could have this conversation with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm just
and
asking.
and as our producer, can you find out if he would be interested in coming on to talk
I'll
about
see what I can do.
about peace in the Middle East?
Okay,
He's
all
not
right.
just a pretty face, he's a
That's right.
thinker.
That's right. With a killer body and amazing talent. Yes, I had said that just like that. As I mentioned, there was a shooting over the weekend at Bowie State and canceled classes today. But they may have also, I don't know if they had classes even scheduled for today because of the holiday. But gunfire broke out during homecoming festivities at Bowie, injuring two 19-year-olds, neither of whom were students, and they are expected to survive. Police said around 11:30 Saturday night, shots were fired near the Center for Business and Graduate Studies at Bowie State. The shooting happened during their homecoming festivities, as I said, much like the one that happened last week at Morgan State in Baltimore. 5 people were shot, including 4 students. Baltimore police are still searching for the 2 suspects they believe are responsible, and they released a surveillance video of people of interest in the case. The shooting at Morgan State caused the university to cancel or postpone their classes for the remainder of the week and all homecoming activities. And police believe there was more than one shooter in the Morgan State shooting. As I said, 4 of the 5 people were shot or injured following the homecoming event. I think they were crowning Mr. and Ms. Morgan State, and shooting occurred after that. And they have been released from the hospital. The reward for information lead, and I'm back to Morgan State and going back between them and Bowie. The information leading to arrest of suspects in the Morgan State shooting stands at $9,000. Metro Crime
Wow.
Stoppers is offering $4,000 for a tip, and ATF Baltimore is putting up an additional $5,000.
Oh yeah. They go get caught.
For
Seriously.
$9,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Coy, did you ever have shootings on the campus when you were at Jackson State?
There was one, and it wasn't, I don't know if it was necessarily directed at someone. I think they were fighting and the guy was shooting in the air or something like that, like trying to scare people. And it definitely scared us. We ran. And then come to find out the very next day, it was my section member who's also a
In the
freshman
band.
from Detroit. And we were like, yeah, he just can't shake that street life. There goes Mike.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was very talented, but his environment, I think he just couldn't really shake it. And that's what I come to find out at a lot of HBCUs. A lot of people go to school to get away from their environment to better their lives. And that first 1 to 2 years is pretty rocky because they're still trying to shake the environment that they came out of. And they're here with other people from possibly their neighborhood or a rival neighborhood or something. And it just creates a lot of tension. And then like you're in an entirely different state. So now you feel like you have to prove yourself. And this is what they're used to doing. They're accustomed to doing and proving themselves. So yeah, nobody got shot. Nobody got hurt. Thank goodness. Most of all the gun violence that happened was off campus.
Whatever
So
happened to Big Mike?
He went back to Detroit.
Mm.
He went back to
Mm.
Detroit. And unfortunately, we lost contact some years ago. So hoping and praying that he's doing well.
Sybil,
Yeah.
have you been around a shooting?
No, and I often wonder how I would react. I, I don't even know what gunfire sounds like other than what I hear on television.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been exposed to that. Knock on wood, and I'm not trying to be funny. I just
Yeah, knock
haven't.
on wood.
Um,
Mm-mm. You don't
so
want to. It's not
no, I
fun.
don't. You're absolutely right. I don't.
It's
But I would
shocking.
like to be prepared, Coy, because I think that there are so many situations that happen to us that I would like to kind of explore that a little bit and how we respond to these things. People did not go to a music festival this weekend in Israel and expect to. It was about the music, and you
Right.
know what music does for the soul
Right.
and how it makes people feel, right? You both are musicians, so you understand that, and you don't go there expecting, uh, just like the people at the country music festival in Las Vegas a few years
Right.
ago, where all those people were killed. You don't go expecting that your life is going to be turned upside down, if not ended,
Right.
during that time of life and merriment and things like that.
There's a lot of videos on YouTube that talk about how to survive a shooting, mass shooting, and things like that. It gives you a lot of survival tips, what to do if you're with a group. And I've come across a lot of different content creators that have created those. So that might be something a lot of you all may want to look into. Not to say that you're ever going to be in that situation. I don't wish that on anyone. And I don't want anyone to ever experience that. But I do realize it's a real issue that has increased over the
Yeah,
last 10 years. So
yeah.
might be something to help you for your peace of mind.
It really is. Renita Bland on Facebook. I was walking to class at, I'm assuming this is South Carolina State, and a student was shot in front of me. Heard two shots, then saw him fall, and another guy running. I was in shock. So, Renita, I'm sorry that that happened to you. When you saw this happen, did you stop or did you run? Were you stunned
Mm.
into to not moving? How did that?
Paralyzed.
Yeah. How did that how did that end up for you? I'm just curious. And I can't. First of all, I'm not saying that it couldn't happen at Northwestern, but because it can happen anywhere. It happened at a very privileged upper class white grammar school in which a privileged child of a teacher there caused just incredible harm to 26-year-old students and their teachers. Um, it just, I just want to be prepared, and I just, like I said, I think about it because I'm walking to my car from Target. I'm sort of looking around, going, "Hey, what's going on here?" And just trying to be aware of my environment, but um, how can you be aware of that environment when it's something you're not accustomed to? Walk into class, Coy, and you hear the shots, someone drops to the ground in front of you. That's that's not normal.
Yeah, I had that happen on my way to work. Downtown Atlanta, when I used to work at Underground Atlanta, and it's kind of like the hood is right there. And there was always like a lot of different crazy things going on downtown, a lot of drug transactions, a lot of everything. I've seen people being human trafficked, all kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
walking up the underground, somebody shot someone like a few yards away from me. And I guess it was like a drug deal gone bad. And it's just, I don't know, for some people it's so normal. And I hate that I
What
at
was
that
your
point in time,
reaction?
I kind of ran, but then I was kind of like, I waited because I don't want to, run in the wrong direction. I'm
Mm,
and I hate to say that I at that point in time in my life, and still probably now, I'm desensitized to it because of where I grew up and how I grew up in the different neighborhoods that I've been in. And so what I've learned to do is not only run for cover and get to safety, but to also see if I can identify where the shots are coming from,
hmm.
because you don't want to run in that direction.
Right, right.
Wow, that's a lot to think about.
It
Okay,
Yolanda,
is.
have you ever been confronted by that?
I haven't.
Mm. Well, I hope you all never are again.
Me too.
In your case, Coy, and ever Yolanda.
Same. It's
Moving
been a
on
pretty
to
peaceful life now.
yeah, yeah. We were talking about strikes, and another group of union workers at the Volvo Group owned Mack Trucks went on strike Monday after rejecting a proposed 5-year contract deal. The United Auto Workers made this announcement today, making it the latest tentative labor agreement to be voted down. About 73% of the workers, or 4,000 in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Florida, voted against the deal that included a 19% pay raise, which is in the midst of a contract talks, of course, with Detroit's Big Three, and they're asking for like 40% pay raises. Um, and so another 4,000 people or more have agreed to go on strike. This time, people affiliated with the making of products with Mack trucks. And in the newsletter, we talked about the how they did not have a shutdown of the Arlington, Texas, which is here in our backyard, Arlington, Texas factory by the GM workers.
Hmm.
And this is where they make the big cars. This is where they make the Chevy Sierras, the Escalades, and the big SUV trucks. So, or they wouldn't be called a vehicle and a truck. The larger SUVs. So they did not, because GM made the concession that we will include those that we will include the future of making of electric batteries for cars in all of our contracts going forward. And that's a big concession made by General Motors. And that's been something that they've been from the very beginning, not only the 40% pay raise and healthcare and pensions for their people, but also what happens to the people that are working on the motor, the gasoline powered cars. What happens to them when they go all electric battery? What happens to these people? And so it appears that General Motors is making that concession that that will be a part of the discussion going forward. And that's pretty cool. Janet Ferguson, I said, I heard that some workers from Walgreens. Yes, yes, we had that in a news cycle that we did today, this morning. Walgreens pharmacists are unhappy with the way that they are being treated and the way that they are being forced to treat their customers. And that's something else we're going to talk about this week coming up. But yes, thank you for that reminder, Janet. They are. So if you are a Walgreens pharmacy customer, be aware of that, because you may not be able to get your meds, or certainly not with the familiar pharmacist that you've been working with for years.
I get it, especially with all the in-store thefts that have gone on, and
Hmm.
how they have to deal with it, or how they have to not deal with it, and how it affects their job.
Yeah. And also, people just coming in, and the way that they are treated by some people, and as you said, thefts and treatment, and it's just it ain't your grandma's pharmacy anymore. I'll tell you that for sure, or your mama's. And so I know, Yolanda, we are running out of time, so I'm going to keep that in mind. Um, and just say this one thing: Robert F. Kennedy, he doesn't know what party he wants to belong to, but he has dropped out of the Democratic Party. He is running as an independent, and so he says, because he wants to work. He doesn't want to make a commitment to either side. Well, you got to make a commitment in politics. You
Hmm.
can't be wishy-washy. And even independents, like true independents, like Bernie Sanders, they align themselves with one group or another. You just can't say, I just want to be everybody's friend. That's just not the way politics works.
Why?
Mm.
Why not?
Because it's not.
I knew that was gonna be your answer.
Because it's not.
Michael Starward have something for us.
Will Hurd has dropped out of. Yeah, I heard that, but I hadn't confirmed it, Michael. But yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that, because he is one of the least conservative Republicans, and I like some of the things that he used to do when he was congressman here in Texas. So, excuse me, sorry, got choked up about the Will Hurd discussion.
No.
So let's move to entertainment. Yolanda, you will know this. Coy, I'm not sure what your Friday nights look like or what's on your DVR, but fans of the TV show 2020, have you watched Deborah Roberts, who was recently named as co anchor of the ABC News program? She has taken on the co anchor duties of 2020, the latest in a long line of distinguished anchors that included Barbara Walters, Diane Sawyer, Connie Chung, and Elizabeth Vargas, who have led the long running magazine. And she joins as co anchor alongside David Muir, who is the anchor of the evening news on ABC. He's been with the series for many years. And they have worked together for many years. And David Muir says that Deborah brings her love of storytelling, her deep commitment to the truth, and most of all, her humanity to everything she does. So good on her for being the new face of 2020, along with David Muir. Let's move to Yolanda's Yogi's Jewel for the day. Yolanda, would you like to read it?
Yeah. Genuine fellowship is really enveloped in grace and mercy. So to be around people, sometimes you got to show some grace and mercy for the people who you choose to be around.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I'm not sure how we put this together in our political world, but definitely uh, grace and mercy are necessary in our worlds today. So
Ooh, just imagine if we had grace and mercy in politics.
yeah,
What would that look like?
it's sorely lacking and missing, especially in this day and age.
Was it ever? Was there ever
I
grace
think
and
there
mercy?
was a time. There was a
When?
time where before our time. Um, before we were able to vote, before the Tea Party began, and there was a time in which there were strong coalitions of Democrats and Republicans and some independents who could work together on the issues and neither say, I may not get everything I want here, I may not get everything I want there, but let's find a common ground and be able to work together. That's definitely not happening in our U.S. House today, and it's definitely not happening in the U.S. Senate when you
Yeah.
have people like Tommy Tuberville, who is just and then of course what happened on January 6, 2021, the anger and the hatred that people have for our government.
And
And
with each other, what the Senate, what the Republicans are doing to themselves. I mean,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
eating themselves.
they're eating themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would rather argue over dress codes.
Right, right. They would rather argue about what someone's wearing as opposed to doing the right thing for the people who sent them there. And remember that when the elections are up next year. Remember who is doing what for you or not doing what you need to have done.
Get your booty to the pole.
Come on, come on, come on.
And
And
maybe
I have to,
Michael B. Jordan will join you.
wouldn't you love that?
I don't know about that.
Okay, just me that would love that. Okay.
Got a kick out of that one.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thank
Aloha.
you. Bye bye.